Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. In today's episode of Naval Action, we will be taking a preview of the ship Rattlesnake, a 6th rate originally modeled by the USS Rattlesnake, which is conveniently placed somewhere between brig and snow if it's to trust the stats. Now, let's talk a little bit about the history of the ship itself. Like we said, Rattlesnake was modeled after the USS Rattlesnake, which was built in, it is a brig, well, technically it was a sloop of war that was built in Medford, Massachusetts, as a privateer that the United States Navy purchased in 1813. Rattlesnake captured numerous British merchant vessels before the HMS Leander captured her in mid-1814. The Royal Navy apparently purchased her at Nova Scotia, but there is no record of her subsequent career. She sailed from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on the 10th of January in 1814 under the command of Master Commandant John A.O. Crichton, and sailed with the Enterprise cruising the Caribbean. The two ships took 3 prizes prior to their separation, which was forced by a more heavily gunned British ship on the 25th February. Rattlesnake, fleeing back to more friendly waters, put into Wilmington, North Carolina on 9th March, and together Rattlesnake and Enterprise had taken 5 prizes: brig Rambler, Spanish brig, Swedish ship Societe Martinson, Mars, a privateer of Nassau, and schooner Eliza. So Rattlesnake was soon back at the sea under the command of Lieutenant James Renshaw. She apparently captured some 8 merchant vessels in the eastern Atlantic, north of the equator. On the 31st of May, she encountered a British frigate, but escaped throwing all but 2 her guns overboard. Then she captured 2 more merchant vessels. So it had... If you want more information about the Rattlesnake's interesting career, I will be providing the link on the wiki. Enough to said that its career in the US Navy ended in, or arguably on the 22nd of June, when the 50-gun British frigate Leander captured her off the Cape Sable, the southern point of the island of the same name which lies off Nova Scotia. Leander was renowned for her speed, especially in the heavy weather conditions on the day of the Rattlesnake's capture. Now, according to the letter from the Captain George Collier of Leander, which is dated the 11th of July, and state that Rattlesnake was armed with 22 guns, all of which she had thrown overboard during the chase, and that she had a crew of 131 men. So, let's talk a little bit about the Rattlesnake in the game. Like we said, Rattlesnake is actually a 6th rate, whose battle rating is 50, which is equivalent to both brig and snow. Yet its crew size is set to 120, but she is mostly renowned for her speed, a total of 13.9 knots, which is just crazy, and fairly decent but not the best turn rate. Now, speed-wise, it will definitely outrun any 6th rate, and even the 7th rate, all of them. And when comparing to the other ships, it will be almost equally as fast as a Renome. So yeah, lightning fast. However, its turn rate, it will be outturned by the brig, the Snow, and apparently the Mercury. I'm not sure if that's entirely correct. Armor-wise, she sits somewhere in the middle on the better portion. She is less armored than a Mercury, but more armored than a Navy brig. However, actually she has more hit points than Navy brig, but Navy brig has thicker armor. So Mercury and the Navy brig have thicker armor than her, but she has thicker armor than pretty much brig, definitely Snow, mortar brig or Niagara. When it comes to armament, she has somewhat to be desired. She carries a total of 18 guns plus 2 chasers. So that gives it 9 guns per side, and these guns can mount either the 6-pounder cannons or 18-pounder carronades, which makes her pretty decent combatant, although not the best. However, its bow chasers and its speed make it ideal for tagging and trying to engage the fleeing ships while waiting for the bigger guns to come about and actually do something. Now, like we said, her broadside weight leaves a bit to be desired, but she is a really fun ship to sail, and I have thoroughly enjoyed being in this battle. Now, as you can see, a little bit about the battle, we are fighting the Niagara, and which has much thicker armor and much more heavily armed. However, I'm fighting this fight with my little cousin, who is actually sailing in Mercury, and he is also tagging Niagara from one side while I'm using the Rattlesnake to kick it on the other side. As you can see, beautiful woodwork here, beautiful logo. I really enjoy the model, and it does, as I said, it's pretty agile. As you can see, the turn rate is pretty decent. When we come, her sailing characteristics are roughly on par with the others, I would say. She sails well when in bream reach and when running with the wind, especially given that she is a square rigger, but she has similar characteristics to every other when sailing close hold, so she's not the best sailing close hold, however. Let us get into the fight. As you can see, I am stern camping the Niagara, trying to get as close in as possible, and I am using the 18-pounder carronades. So as you can see, my preferred armament, given its maneuverability and speed, definitely are carronades, and I'm trying to send this Niagara to the bottom of the sea, obviously. By the way, this is a new content that I have gotten. I have came back, and I'm happy to give you guys some more naval action content. I must say I like the new system when it comes to the, well, not just damage but crew management, and I thoroughly enjoy having land ho in the battles. That is just amazing. I know that for some of you guys it's like old news, but for me it's new and I cannot stop playing it. It's just way too fun, especially if you have somebody to play it together with. Okay, and fire. Just 2 shots, not too shabby, but overall I think we are doing a nice job in terms of getting this done. Now I will be featuring more ships, and there will be more fleet action battles, fleet orders that we will be taking together. Now, just for those that you might ask, my little cousin, which is sailing on the Munja, which is a Croatian for lightning, so I think it's appropriate name, especially that he's sailing on the Mercury. You cannot argue with that. My typical setup is chasers, usually always put chain, and the main cannons or carronades put the ball ammunition. Okay, turning now towards, like I said, close hold, not the best, but it doesn't heal too much. I think it's pretty decent, and overall I'm pretty happy with its damage output, which, although it's not stellar, it is decent enough, especially given her size. I mean, let's face it, Niagara has much higher battle rating than her, almost double, and Mercury is like halfway in the middle, so one has to account for that when considering fighting those two head to head. Now, yeah, the stern model, beautiful. And now let's see how are we progressing. Overall, I'm pretty happy. Let's shoot some chain in the sails of this Niagara. I mean, every percentage counts, so why not? I am halfway through my armor, or hit points, not armor, but so far I'm holding my own with a little bit of leaks. My crew on survival is managing that, and a little bit of a heal issue here. I only managed to shot a couple of crew, so basically my way of saying I missed miserably. But oh boy, this won't fare well. Come on, oh, and whew, talk about being saved by the bell. Now, or by a hair. Let's see. My port cannons are reloading, stern cannons are fully loaded, so I'm just waiting a little bit more, and we have reloaded, so I am turning heavily towards the Niagara and getting ready to unleash a new broadside now. Sailing 90 degrees to the wind. Okay, and getting in my favorable spot. Fire. Well, 2 sails damage. Sounds good. And let's see if we can keep this angle while the Niagara fires. I want to keep a shallow angle towards it. Okay, and hard to port, depower sails to avoid healing, and fire. 3 hull, 1 leak. I could do better, but overall I'm pretty happy. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, that hurt. Now, let's rather turn hard to port, because that's where the wind is. I don't want to get stuck without wind in front of Niagara's cannons. After all, she has much bigger cannons than I do. So, I mean, the biggest I can mount is like 18-pounder carrows, while this Cervantes Crow can mount 32-pounder carrows, which is, I think, in my opinion, for the Niagara, it's just crazy. I am slightly taking on water, but so I've decided to pop a repair. Nothing too dangerous so far. I'm holding my own, but I have gotten several leaks, which I do want to get fixed. So I figured just to do one broadside into his sails. And once again hard to port, and I really dislike turning against the wind, but what can you do? Ow. Niagara's hit points are almost out. After that she will definitely be taking on leaks, although I'm not waiting for that. I'm trying to hit it below the waterline, or around the waterline anyway. Good teamwork, I must say. Just to note, by the way, we are playing on the PvP EU1 server, and I think this is actually a nice... this is not my first fight after I came. I've had a couple of fights with the Trincomalee. Some of them I failed miserably. Don't worry guys, I will post the content, so yeah. Oh, stop healing, come on, depower, and come down a little bit more, please, and fire. Much better. Hull times 7, cannon times 2. Definitely my kind of numbers. Let's show her the tail, because despite the fact that we have lower shield, I want to be away from her as possible while my cannons reload. Beautiful shot. I really like how Rattlesnake looks from this angle. It's just awesome. I think this one is a real Snow competitor, to be honest, guys. I mean, Snow is a little bit more agile, but it has less armor, so a good trade-off of speed and agility, I would say. Although Snow has way more cannons, but it's compensated by much less armor, so yeah. Okay. Turning towards the south, 180 degrees, and by the way, guys, if you notice, we are fighting just off of Carlisle. Ooh. And battle over. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Like if you like. I'll see you in the next episode.